Every day, your phone is a silent witness to your life. It knows where you sleep, where you work, and every path you take. But what happens when that witness is called to testify against you?
Every single day, your phone is a silent witness to your life. It knows where you sleep, where you work, who you meet up with, and all the paths you take to get there. But what happens when that silent witness is called to testify against you? Okay, so let's set the scene here. Imagine a serious crime. We're talking a robbery or even a murder has just happened. Police show up, they cordon everything off, but they find nothing. No eyewitnesses, no fingerprints, no usable security footage. The trail's gone completely cold. For years, a question like that probably would have been a dead end. But today, investigators have this incredibly powerful and, pretty controversial new tool. It lets them search for clues not in the physical world, but in the digital one. It's called a geofence warrant, and it has totally changed the game for how police can investigate a crime scene, basically by turning everyone's phone into a potential lead. So what is this thing exactly? Well, a geofence warrant doesn't target a specific person. Nope. Instead, it targets a place and a time. The police draw this virtual box, a geofence, around a crime scene, and then they ask a company like Google for a list of every single device that was inside that box when the crime went down. To really get how this works in the real world, we have to look at the biggest player in this space, and that's Google. The process they came up with for handling these requests has pretty much become the standard for the whole industry. See, when police serve Google with a geofence warrant, they're not just getting a little bit of data, they're tapping into this unimaginably vast library of user location data. It's a database known inside the company as the Sensor Vault, and it logs the whereabouts of hundreds of millions of users who have location history turned on. Now, Google knew this had some huge privacy issues, so they developed this three-step process. First up, they give the police a totally anonymous list of devices. No names, no numbers, just IDs. Second, the police look at that data and ask for more anonymous location history, like the path of travel, for devices that seem interesting. This helps them weed out people who, just drove past on the highway. Finally, once they have their list of prime suspects narrowed way down, they go back to Google with that small list, and only then does Google reveal the actual users' identities. And this technique, it just exploded in popularity almost overnight. Get this, between 2017 and 2018, Google saw a mind-blowing 1,500% increase in these requests from law enforcement. And the next year, it jumped another 500%. This number really hammers home the sheer scale of this search. Every single time a geofence warrant is served, the police are basically searching a haystack of nearly 600 million accounts to find their one needle. It's a digital dragnet of completely unprecedented proportions. So, with this massive new power came, you guessed it, a massive constitutional question. Does searching everyone in an area to find one suspect violate the Fourth Amendment? The one that protects all of us from unreasonable searches and seizures? Let's just break down the core conflict here. A traditional warrant, it's like a spear. It requires police to have probable cause, a good reason, to believe a specific person committed a crime. But a geofence warrant, that's like a giant net. It scoops up data on dozens, sometimes thousands, of totally innocent people first, all in the hope of finding the actual suspect somewhere in that catch. The legal challenges came hard and fast, and in 2024, the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals issued this absolute bombshell. They didn't just question the warrant in one case, they declared the whole practice unconstitutional. They compared them to the general warrants the British Crown used to use, the very things the founders wrote the Fourth Amendment to outlaw. And this is where it really gets personal. What if you were just an innocent bystander, someone whose morning jog happened to take them past a house where a crime occurred hours later? Or what if you work in an office building near a protest that turns violent? Your data, your movements, they're all swept up in that initial search, making you a person of interest, even if it's just for a moment. That Fifth Circuit ruling sent shockwaves all the way through the legal system and into Silicon Valley. All of a sudden, the country was dealing with this patchwork of conflicting court opinions, and a tech giant was starting to rethink its role in all of this. It really created legal chaos. The Fourth Circuit, looking at a totally different case, was completely fractured. They couldn't even agree on whether the warrant was legal. The Fifth Circuit, as we just saw, said they were flat out unconstitutional. Meanwhile, you've got other courts all across the country landing on all sides of the issue. So the bottom line is, the legality of this incredibly powerful police tool literally depended on where you live.
So, facing this legal minefield and a growing backlash over privacy, Google announced some major changes. Now your location history, what they call timeline, is going to be saved directly on your phone, not in their giant cloud-based sensor vault. Any backups you make will be end-to-end encrypted, which means not even Google can read them. And they've shortened the default auto-delete setting to just 3 months. They are, for all intents and purposes, trying to make the sensor vault a thing of the past.
With the lower courts in total disagreement and the technology itself rapidly changing, the stage was set for an ultimate showdown. This whole conflict was heading to the one place that could set a single, clear rule for the entire nation.
And on January 16, 2026, it happened. The Supreme Court announced it would hear the case of Chitray versus United States. That's the very case that split the Fourth Circuit right down the middle. This means the 9 justices are now going to decide the fate of geofence warrants once and for all.
The court's decision is going to have profound, and I mean profound, implications for the future of both privacy and policing. It's going to force all of us to confront a really fundamental question for our modern world. In an age where our devices track our every single step, is our location ever truly private?
The stage is set for a final showdown at the Supreme Court. The decision they make won't just change the law. It will decide if your privacy still exists in a world that never stops tracking.